System 7 Joust MPU and driver board in for rehabilitation. So what I have done with these boards is replace the power input filter cap on both the MPU and the driver board. Replaced all the headers all the way around, including the 40-pin male-female connection. Added an indication for blanking. And that just looked, it dimmed on the video. That didn't happen in real life. And all the headers all the way around on the driver board, as well as its 5-volt filter cap input. Abated a minor bit of corrosion over here on this connector. Weird that it was over there. You can see some copper there. It's not bare anymore since I always conformal coat that. And she booted right up and she's good to go. So let's put it through its test. These are Firepower System 6 displays. So they're going to look a little funny with a System 7. I know that looks fine, but when we do the testing, further testing, it'll look different. The next test is sound test. And this is where the sound drives come from on a System 7 board. So you can see this LED ladder just walk up. In the real game, a sound would be made each time that one of those pins is grounded. Next test is lamp test, featuring my Siegecraft tester. I like this little portable one. And the next test is coil test. And it'll walk through all 16 primary coils, plus the 3 special solenoids. And the only lamp that's on right now is 16, and that just went out. That is the coin door lockout coil. So it's on normally. And during the test, it turns itself off. So now I can test the switch inputs to the special solenoids that I was struggling so hard to remember just a second ago just by raking the switch input connector. 3, 4, 5, 6, and they all work. Got through that before it came around to test again. Excellent. So that is all of the tests. So we're just gonna run right through all the audits and it will reboot. And we are good to go. Coin lockout coil is on again. Lamp matrix is performing as it should. Oh, you know what? I missed a test. Switch test. Okay, now it's waiting for switch test. So I used my tester that I got from Pennytech, and this is where the displays will look weird. You can see that it says 0, 4, etc. So those are all the switches in column 1. Let's go to across row 1. And of course, Williams didn't always test all of the switches because the switches that aren't used, it doesn't tell you. So I can add to my list here that the last switch on Joust is switch number 61. Although I'm not going to see a lot of Joust boards through here. So that concludes all the testing. This board set is going back to CP Pinball and Tilt Amusements, where I believe this Joust is going out. Thanks so much, Troy. This is the Joust soundboard that came with the MPU and driver board that I just showed you. And a couple things about these soundboards. This is just a square board. It doesn't even have the connection for where the sound round truck would hang off here. You should always recap them. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 caps. Just replace them, and then you can rule out any problems that you've got. Sometimes the chip sockets are bad. These two here are just fine. They're the later models of the chip socket. I have a power connected to it. I've got some speakers. Here's my digital or a volume pot, and then this is a little doodad I made for testing these boards. So when I turn it on, you'll notice something right away. See how there was a loud buzz and then it attenuated? That's just the processor getting control of the 6821 and what goes out to the DAC and eventually to the amplifier. So we can start testing the individual sounds by pressing these buttons on my doodad. I like that last one. On my doodad also, I can set the individual bits for the sounds that are the equivalent of this, and instead of trying to press two sounds at the same time, if I set two switches on and then press this, it's equivalent to pressing two sounds at the same time. Now, one of the things that I noticed about the Joust ROM is if you try to use the test button, which I've removed here, it did not, first of all, that test button was inoperative. It did not create a ground signal to the non-maskable interrupt pin on the 6808. So I thought that was a little odd, so I put a little thing on here where I could ground two pins and it'd do the same thing. But Joust apparently doesn't respond to that. It just causes the soundboard to lock up, and you just have to power off and then power on. So that's what I found out with this board. Let's get it back to CP Pinball and Troy and get this Joust out the door.